right, good evening everyone. We can go ahead and get started with some introductions while we pull up our PowerPoint for the evening. Thank you for coming. This is our third Community Development Block Grant public comment meeting. My name is Megan Mosley. I'm the grants manager with the county, and we have a number of county staff here with us tonight as well to help answer your questions and receive your input. We have our county manager, Howard Wanamaker, with us. We have Madison Hilt and Victoria Hapner from Community and Social Services. We also have Sharice Stewart, our assistant county manager, and Dodie Seelig from planning. Richard Smith, our director of engineering, and Troy Nagel, an assistant county manager as well. And then Ed Tucker is helping me from the grants division tonight.
So while we're waiting, did everybody get a copy of the CDBG that wants one? Here, I got you one.
We have several hard copies circulating. This is also published on the county's website. If you have a smartphone device or want to pull it up after the meeting. And then we have some hard copies of public comment forms up here as well. If you want to take those with others who couldn't attend or submit them back to us after the meeting, we'll happily accept those.
How you doing this evening, sir?
I didn't do it for where you are. They did the national policies where you are. And then we'll get well, that's just the going price. DOT's average for the last 6 months is $156 a ton.
Did you try to even through the inputs?
That's the 9.5 that we use. And that's everything. That's like 300 contracts a day average. So,
Corporate HDMI.
You just don't want to have to bring out. But still, it gives them money. They come in and obviously they use them. It's now one over there where you got a bird and what you gonna do, you gonna send 2 crews home for 2 weeks, or you gonna put them on Louis Park?
If you go back to where you were at,
Because
it's sticking around the screen.
the only bidder.
Oh, there you can hold on, right there.
Only bidder.
All right, we're in business.
Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Don't touch
Tells you
it.
that they were busy, but
And as a side note, tonight's meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the website for public viewing. So when we ask questions or make comments tonight, I'll pass the microphone around. That'll guarantee that we capture everyone's comment for captions once it's posted on the website. So as I mentioned tonight, we're talking about the proposed annual action plan for a community development block grant. This will be FY22-23 year, beginning October 1. Do you mind going ahead and advancing the slide for me there? So I know this is small up on the screen, but just wanted to give a summary of the program itself. The Community Development Block Grant, known as CDBG, is an entitlement grant program that's run through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The purpose of the program is to build stronger and more resilient communities by supporting infrastructure projects, housing rehab, addressing code enforcement projects, among other eligible activities in low to moderate income areas. Qualified urban counties with populations of at least 200,000 people are entitled to receive annual grants. The county received this funding for the first time in FY 21-22, so this would be our second year of funding that we're discussing tonight. HUD determines the amount of each entitlement grant by using a statutory formula. There are lots of factors that go into this determination, but it includes things like measures of community need, including the extent of poverty in an area, population, housing overcrowding, age of housing, and population growth lag in relationship to other metropolitan areas. eligible jurisdictions must submit what HUD calls a consolidated plan for review. This is a comprehensive planning document and application for funding under the Community Development Block Grant. Each jurisdiction must identify goals for program funding, which are reviewed by HUD and supported by the budget, which is described in the annual action plan tonight. So we can go ahead and move on to the budget page. And here's a year-over-year comparison of what we're looking at in terms of dollars. So FY 21-22, this is what was actually approved by HUD for the current fiscal year and was budgeted. So you can see our 4 major spend categories are the same this year as for the proposed year. There are some slight variations in proposed amounts. This current year, we've dropped down planning and admin costs to 15%. And increased funding in areas like public infrastructure. So if you have an annual action plan with you, if you want to follow along, I'll reference a couple of sections. The first is page 16, which outlines the proposed goals for this year, and then page 20 and 21 go into more detail about the planned activities that support each goal. So first goal is housing activities, which supports affordable housing. County's proposed goal is to rehabilitate 12 household units. Planned activities, this is listed on page 20, and I'm going to read directly from the plan because there are quite a few things that are covered. But this includes the home repair program, which is managed by our Community Services Division. It includes roofing, electrical, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, accessibility modifications, health and sanitary problems, including minor septic system repair, safety code violations, lead paint remediation, and/or interior-exterior damage or deterioration to the structure, including flood damage, termite treatment, and removal of trees. Failing septic systems and old wells can be replaced by paying for connection fees, abandoning private wells, and closing septic tanks, as well as other related plumbing costs. Demolition and replacement of homeowner mobile homes found to be uninhabitable by code enforcement, contractor inspectors, or building department officials are also eligible. And awards are available up to $35,000 per household. Our next program category we'll look at is code enforcement. County's proposed goal is to assist at least 15 household units. Planned activities include code enforcement expenses that support county CDBG activities, including things like mowing, junk car removal, and then infrastructure improvements. Goal is to target areas that benefit at least 100 people. Planned activities for this year focus primarily on sidewalk repair and construction. There is a full list of proposed sidewalks on page 21 of the action plan, if you're interested in taking a deeper look at that. We can go to the next slide. Give an overview of the public comment period. We opened public comment June 15th. It'll run for 30 days through July 15th. We've been doing a series of public meetings, one in Keystone last week. We were in Orange Park earlier this week. Middleburg tonight. There will be a second meeting in Middleburg on July 7th. And then a final public hearing at the BCC meeting room on July 26th. So at this point, we can go back to the budget page, just so we have that for reference. And I'll go ahead and open up to public comment. So if there's anyone who has a question or something they'd like to share, I'll pass the microphone on over.
My name is Anthony Thompson. I live in the Hilltop community. I have a question. How do you determine the priorities of sidewalks and improvement, and which houses you are going to improve and which ones you're not going to?
I'll actually let Richard take that question if you want to address infrastructure.
Well, on the sidewalks, and Megan, you'll have to help me, there is a formula we use. As she said, we want to help at least 100 homes or individuals with each sidewalk. So if you look on one of the pages on it's there, you'll see the street names. I remember Palmetto's on there.
Yeah.
And so we this year we did a paving resurfacing on one road. That's how we spent the money. The past year. This coming up year will be spread out over sidewalks. So the determination is really like, not to single out, but you won't see a sidewalk up Orange Park Mall. You know, that wouldn't meet the financial criteria. It would be in low to medium income areas, correct? So that's how the public infrastructure is determined.
We want to kick that door
The
in.
housing.
I can speak on the housing side.
You want to speak to the housing side?
Absolutely. Hello. So as far as the determination of housing, we open up the application to all Clay County residents. And then it's determined based on a scoring matrix that we've put together. So we prioritize individuals who are the lowest of income. So we have a scoring mechanism. If they make 30% or less than the average median income, they are in our highest eligibility category. And then we look at other things like, are the individuals seniors, citizens, are they disabled, are they caregivers to disabled individuals or minors? And then we also, so once we score them and categorize that, then we have the homes inspected, and then those will be based on what is recommended. So we have a limited number of funds, and so we prioritize the homes based on the highest need first, and then based on the recommendation of the inspector, then we prioritize what gets actually done to the homes. So we look at things that are secure, like safety features first. So if the home needs a new roof versus maybe one window replaced, we're going to prioritize the roof over the window. And then of course, if someone is disabled and they maybe want an upgrade for an entry into their home, we'll prioritize that because that's a safety feature as well. So that's just kind of a quick overview of how we do that.
Anyone else?
Now, is that like the SHIP program too? I don't need that, I got that.
You have to.
We have to, I got yelled
Oh, I'm
at.
sorry. Now, is that like the SHIP program that's far as the same situation as the SHIP as what you have there?
Just pass that by. Yes, it's very comparable to the SHIP program. They do a lot of the same things. So this is just a different pot of money that we can use. And this one probably has a little less limitations than the SHIP program does.
Now, you asked about the budget, and these are the main things that you're gonna go for, or if you have certain things, certain projects that you're wanting to get done? Like out here, like, I'm just saying an extra playground or something, handicap playground, something like this. Is that something that can prioritize to help the community because it would help more of the community? Or do you already have your list of what you want to do with this money? I mean,
No, we got you. So,
The county had to do a 5-year consolidated plan.
okay.
These are the areas that were in our 5-year plan. So now, for the next, this will be the second year, we have to focus our efforts on these 5 areas. So it's a 2-step process. Your 5-year plan, what are you gonna focus on strategically? These are the items. So now we're deciding how many dollars we're putting into each of those buckets for the next year.
Okay.
When our 5-year plan comes up, then it's fair game to start the whole process over and relook at everything. Does that make sense?
To an extent.
Okay.
You're asking us to give you
So I think.
comments, but you already made your decision
Well,
on what you're gonna do.
these are the areas, so if you say, I'll give you an example, so in last year's plan, we didn't allow for appliance replacement, correct? So last year's plan didn't allow for appliance replacement when if somebody said, hey, I need a refrigerator, we couldn't buy that refrigerator. Based on citizen feedback, like these meetings, somebody said, hey, it's really important that it's great that you're fixing my house, but if I can't buy a refrigerator, it's not gonna help me. So now we've added that into the plan, or we've added wells. So there may be things that you're well aware of in your community that fit into these categories that we're missing. You may say, hey, Richard, did you look at the sidewalk in Hilltop? That's really important to us, and here's,
What's that about?
Exactly, and that's really important.
There you go.
But that's a good point.
You ain't been there as a.
But that's a good point, because, that may not be on the list currently, but if that's important to you, that's why we do these public meetings. Hey, this is very important to us. Our team comes back, we evaluate it, we present it to the board, and then the board says, great, yeah, we want this priority list, or the board says, no, the gentleman made a very good point, and that now moves up to number one on the list. So that's why these meetings are happening.
Okay.
We can't change the categories, but the way we work inside these categories can be
That's what I was
modified.
thinking.
Yes,
That's what I was
Yep.
asking, if you could change what you're doing,
yes.
but as long as you're in that certain
Right.
criteria.
So wells, for example, weren't included last year. Now, because of public feedback, wells are included. Yep. Yep.
Anthony Thompson again.
There you go.
A lot of questions. We
That's
have
good.
one private road that was named a private road. Nobody knows how it got private. We would like to change the road because there's potholes and everything. And if we could get the millions from the county to dump on the road, I own a contracting company. I do all the work for free. We just want to make sure that it's not flooded out on the road. So when we're talking about the public infrastructure, are you looking at any type of private road? I know it's private, but someone just named it out of the blue when we had, anybody know Mamie Oliver? No? Well, she was a county historian, and we want to name the road after her, but somebody named it before her, and now it's crap. And he and I want to do it for free. I'll do all the work myself.
No problem.
But by the same token, if we can get the millions from the county, we could probably alleviate anything from you guys other than getting the million. You can't get that?
No,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, I think what I would recommend, since we can't use this money on private roads, but the lady sitting 2 seats behind you is over, Sharice, is over our Public Works and Engineering Department, and I think, maybe after the meeting, you and her can have a conversation about different things and, talk about roads more specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you did, that's what you do.
Not perfect.
You buy the million and I'll truck it for free.
Other questions or comments from the group?
Yeah, I got one. Can this money be used to expand the parking up around Omega Field? Because on summer events, you got people parked everywhere down there on Omega Field, and when they 4-lane 218, it's gonna get much worse.
So I guess the question is,
Yeah, can you use some of this money for public parking around a public playground?
Well, I'm gonna kick it to Ed behind you. Ed, do you know, and if you don't know right now, we can always get the answer later, of whether our infrastructure category includes improving parks as part of infrastructure. I don't know what was written into our 5-year consolidated plan. Dodie, do you know offhand?
Don't remember.
Okay.
He's
Ed's looking it up. I'm not gonna hold him to it right now. If he gets it before we leave, then great. If not, we'll get you that information, but I don't know that answer off the top of my head.
But if it does meet it, Troy, by what the contract says for the 5-year plan, then we take this and put in, and it could be a project.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in the 5-year plan, then again, the staff could make a recommendation that instead of doing sidewalks, you do, or it becomes a combination of, is that a yes, Dodie, or not?
That's what this is for, so
Yeah.
if it's eligible.
This helps a lot more
then,
people.
Yeah.
Certainly we put
So-
it in the mix.
Yeah, Ed's gonna look it up and see if that's an eligible under infrastructure. If it is, then yeah, that could be a suggestion that we say we're gonna do half the money with sidewalks and half the money toward a park improvement. We just have to see if it fits under that infrastructure
Maybe
line item.
definitely needs it.
Other questions or comments?
One final question.
Absolutely.
I've noticed there's quite a few homeless people in Clay County. Can any of the money be used to accommodate or do anything for the homeless population?
we got a whole different side of money that's nice lady can tell you about.
Just wanted to make sure.
You hit a passion point.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, we do have a homeless population here in Clay County. So unfortunately, CDBG funding cannot be used for that at this time.
Okay.
But we just recently created a homeless task force to bring in key players from the community to discuss how we can better bring resources to the individuals. So the group came together to decide what it looks like moving forward, and which I will bring to my bosses very soon. So kind of the first thing that we're looking at is to just do a survey to talk to the different homeless individuals who live in Clay County to see what do they want and what do they need. So before we go making decisions and how we want to spend our money, we want to see how we can better help them based on what they see their needs as. So that's kind of where we're starting, and we do have some emergency rental assistance funding currently that can help with homeless stabilization. So if you have individuals that you know that need assistance in getting placed in housing, with that program, we can cover things like security deposits, getting their utilities turned on. We can actually do application as well. So if it, $35 to apply, get them on the waiting list, and then we can cover their first 3 months of rent as well. So it kind of gives them a little bit of a nest egg to get back on their feet. So we have that program currently that we can use.
So maybe after the meeting, you guys can
Yes.
share information.
I think so.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, with no other comment, I'll just close by reminding everyone other ways you can submit comment, or if you have others that weren't able to make it tonight.
I'm just heading out.
There are still ways to participate and give feedback. So as I mentioned, we have the hard copies of the public comment forms up here. We also have an email address, cdbg@claycountygov.com, where you can submit feedback. We have a telephone number where you can, verbally give feedback to staff. That number is 904-541-3814. So again, thank you all for coming. This is a really important part of our process, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.